Okay, welcome back to math class and welcome back to chapter 9, section 9. Yesterday we learned about cubic functions. Today we're going to talk about exponential functions. So, like I said, we have linear functions, and their biggest term is going to be an x to the first. Quadratics are going to be an x squared. Cubics are going to be an x to the third. Exponential functions are actually going to look more like this: a to the x plus c. So instead of being x raised to a power, a number, 1, 2, or 3, we're going to have a number raised to x. And they are going to look, instead of being a line or a parabola or a cubic function like this, they are actually going to look like this. They're going to have a line that they're getting closer and closer to, and then they're going to curve up in the other direction. Okay, so just like yesterday, our main goal today is to figure out how to graph an exponential function, and we're going to do that with a table, just like yesterday. So I'm going to make my table like we know how to make tables, with my x. With my function, the function we're going to use today is 3 to the x minus 4. Well, y equals 3 to the x minus 4. Now you see how, whereas these would be like x to the first, x to the second, x to the third, this is 3 to the x. That's how you know it's an exponential function. So I have my x, I have my function, I have my y, and my x comma y. That's going to be our points that we graph. Oops. Okay, we're going to use the same points that we used yesterday. We're going to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. See what we get. Okay, let me finish my table. When x is -2, we get that y equals 3 to the -2 minus 4. Now I'm starting you right off the bat with a negative exponent. So I need you guys to think back to the beginning of the chapter. Remember, we can rewrite negative exponents like this. 3 to the -2 is the same as saying 1 over 3 squared minus 4. Now 1 over 3 squared, hopefully you guys know, is 1 over 9 minus 4. 1 over 9 minus 4 is going to give us -3 8/9. So when x is -2, y is going to be -3 8/9. Now you guys might have to review both your fractions and how to add and subtract positive and negative numbers, but you need to keep track of your positive and negative numbers really well here. Okay, so that's when x is -2. How about when x is 1? We get y equals 3 to the -1 minus 4. Now 3 to the -1 is 1/3 minus 4. 1/3 minus 4 is -3 2/3. So when x is -1, y is going to be -3 2/3. All right, now we're going to plug 0 in. Y equals 3 to the 0 minus 4. Now it's going to be tempting for you guys to look at 3 to the 0 and say, oh, that must be 0. But remember, when we learned about exponents, 3 to the 0 actually equals 1. So we get 1 minus 4. 1 minus 4 is -3. So when x is 0, y is -3. All right, now we're going to plug 1 in. Y equals 3 to the first minus 4. 3 to the first is just going to be 3. 3 minus 4 is going to give us negative 1. So when x is 1, y is negative 1. Then 2, y equals 3 to the second minus 4. 3 to the second is 9, and 9 minus 4 equals 5. So when x is 2, y is 5. Okay, now that we've got our 5 points, we're going to plot our points and hope that our graph looks something like this at the end. If it looks like that, we'll know that we are doing something right. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. Oops, that's real crooked. Okay, I'm going to come over to this side and I'm going to make myself a coordinate plane. Here we go. Let's see, looks like the furthest to the negatives we get is 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to need 2 on either side, and then all the way up to 5. Okay, so my first point is -2, -3 and 8/9. So when I look at -3 and 8/9, what I should know about it, looking at it, is that it's very close to -4, but not quite all the way to -4. 8/9 is almost 1, but not quite. So I'm going to go to -2, I'm going to go to -3, and I'm going to go almost to -4, but not quite. Now when I see -1, -3 and 2/3, 2/3 is also almost 4, but it's not quite as close to 4 as this one was. So I'm going to go to -1, I'm going to go down to -3, and then I'm going to go 2/3 past that, about right there. Okay, now when x is 0, I'm going to go to -3. When x is 1, I'm going to go to just -1. And when x is 2, I'm going to go all the way up to 5. Okay, so right now our graph is looking like this. If we'd gone any smaller in this direction, what you guys would have noticed is that the graph is getting closer and closer and closer to -4, but never reaching -4 completely. And then it's going up higher and higher and higher as fast as possible in this direction. But really fast. Because see, we jumped all the way from -1 all the way up to 5. And it fits what it's supposed to look like, so I can safely say I probably did this one right. If you're making your tables and you find you have like all these points lined up except this one was here, and your graph would have looked like this, then you would know that you must have messed up this point, because any exponential graph is going to look like this. It's going to have this curve. We call this an exponential curve.